When it comes to the classroom exercises and classroom activities, especially when teachers are trying to do something with the students, one very important thing comes into play, which is called theater techniques. Now, whenever we talk of the term theater, the immediate thing that comes to our mind is that what is all theater is about. Is it a play? Is it a drama of Shakespeare or Othello right on the classes where the students are acting? Precisely not. But the term theater is used in much more generic sense. It is a kind of a technique which enhances communication and various other things. Now, various other thing is a very common generic word, and the viewers might be angry on me that what do I mean by generic thing? So I would keep silent. In order to talk more about those generic things, let us welcome a special guest today on our YouTube live platform. Uh, I would like to invite Ritu Shukla. She is an expert in behavioral and communications training. She has got her master's in psychology and trained in neuro-linguistic programming and psychodrama. Ritu applies various art forms in order to obviously enhance the classes like storytelling, psychodrama, theater, and various other things. She has coached into certain very important organizations, including Oracle, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Siemens. Well, the list is quite long, so I have to take a pause on that. So today's YouTube live concerns with Ritu Shukla's insights onto theatre techniques and how it would help us in classroom management. A very warm welcome from the entire family of Asian College of Teachers to Ritu Shukla to this YouTube live show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to interact with your college and with the group of facilitators and teachers. I'm absolutely honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So those who are watching this, this is a totally new learning. And most of the time, I know viewers get irritated because I talk a lot. So today is the time then I will keep absolutely silent. We are willing to learn a lot from ma'am. So my first question to you, ma'am, would be that if you can tell it in a layman's point of view, because a lot of the people might not be knowing the jargons, etc. What is actually theater technique?
Okay, thank you for asking that question because it is very vast, and I will talk about the theater form that I work with. Yes, so theater techniques essentially remain the same, but the form of theater that my expertise lies in is called theater of the oppressed and theater for the living. Now,
Okay.
to talk a little about Theatre of the Oppressed, it was created by Augusto Boal, a Brazilian theatre director. Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
and there are various forms of theaters. I mean, I can go on and on. There's playback theater. There is, of course, the kind of drama that we learn. For example, you know Shakespeare, and people have created lot of theater and a variety there. Here, Augusto Boal created Theatre of the Oppressed essentially to work with people and work with communities. He worked a lot with the farmers, and there was a lot of oppression there in Brazil. And the roots of theater of the oppressed lie in the philosophy of Paulo Freire.
Okay.
He is a
Paulo Freire,
great,
right? Yes, Greek,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
philosopher, right? Absolutely.
exactly. So, a theater of the oppressed, the roots of it are in the philosophy of Paulo Freire, and that's how it's very powerful for especially teachers, educators, facilitators. And I'll
Right.
just continue one more sentence over here to explain what it is. So essentially, the idea is that teachers and students are not two different entities separated by some kind of power that
Right.
teacher is out there to download information. It
Right.
is to create an equal space which is owned by both and not
Okay.
just yes.
Okay. Absolutely. So, what we learned first. Okay. My next question would be: can you tell a little bit about what is the theater of the living? We know the oppressed. What do we mean by theater of the living?
Yes. So Theatre of the Oppressed was created by Augusto Boal, and then there were some modifications introduced by David Diamond, who is again a theatre director and a practitioner in Canada, and
Right.
he started Theatre for the Living, introducing some modifications in the modality that Boal had introduced. So essentially, we
Okay.
are. This is also an offshoot or an expansion of this type of theatre of the oppressed. Yes.
Okay, so Paulo Freire, as far as I have read a little bit, he's possibly a Brazilian educator working in different reform techniques of right. Okay, so what we have understood, this is something very striking. I remember Theatre of the Oppressed when when I went to reading one of the literatures of Ludwig von Beethoven. So when one of the Indians was asking Beethoven that, "What is your music?" So Beethoven told, "My music is for the poor. My music is for the people right on the road, on the beggars who are begging the street." So music cannot be successful until the beggars, the normal people who are struggling, will listen to my music. Otherwise, I don't survive. So, right as you have told, that theater of the oppressed, it is not of the, it basically speaks of the common people, just like classical music is something not classical, but where common people really hum those music and this wonderful. So when we are considering that the learner, I mean to say the teacher and the student are not separate, that means we are using some kind of a technique where both of them are is a single entity. Okay. So my next question would be that when you are framing a drama or a theater, what it is exactly? Is it a soft skill? It is a role play? If you cite some simple examples, it would be great.
Great. Yes, yes. Just to, I think there's one point I would like to kind of clarify. Teacher, learner, or the teacher and student, not really as a single entity, but in a speech where they can dialogue with each other, right?
Right.
And your next question was, what is it exactly? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
how do I
Yeah.
incorporate it?
Right.
So you see in theater, so what we'll do is over here, I will introduce one or two techniques right now for the benefit of people
Sure.
who are
Sure.
watching. Theater essentially includes a lot of body work, which means we are no
Right.
longer sitting constricted in a chair and not moving. The idea of
Hmm.
theater is to break a pattern. You see, when does a student or a teacher get stuck? When we are in a loop, right? And
Hmm.
we believe that the thinking only happens here in the head. That is
Right.
where we kind of we are limiting ourselves. And so theater essentially eases out the entire body. It engages the mind and the body. We say mind
Right.
body, so
Mind
it
body. Right.
engages holistically, a learner holistically. And when that happens, the learning uh, is not just restricted to a very cognitive method. It is imbibed in the body. You see, we carry
Right.
a lot of wisdom in our bodies also. Yeah,
Hmm.
and if
So,
we do
for
not.
example, if you are walking inside a class, say, for
Hmm,
example, there are learners, whatever I mean to say, maybe class 4, 5, 6. So, can you give an example that exactly what dialogue do you start? What exactly do you say?
right. So, for example, for introductions, any class, it could be a young child, or it could be somebody as our age, whatever age we are, uh, whether it is a school setup, college setup, or a corporate setup. So let me start with
Hmm.
some introductions. So rather than having introductions simply just by saying names, in a theater class, I would say, introduce yourself with a sound and action. So if I have to
Okay.
introduce myself, and you can do this after me, after I do, and just do what.
Hmm.
So if I have to introduce myself with the sound and action, I'd say, mm, Ritu. Aha. So I
Okay.
am, yeah. So now you introduce yourself
Oh, I can say,
using a
uh,
sound and action.
okay,
Your name.
Shaunak, carry on.
Great. So you see, immediately we start playing. And the moment, if you see, when little children play, we don't have to teach them anything. The learning happens.
Absolutely.
Yes. I
That's
hope I was
wonderful.
able to give a
Yes,
sense
yes.
of.
Actually, I was talking to one of our trainers in Asian College, Mitul ma'am.
Yeah.
She exactly pointed out on this that a lot of jumping around and a lot of activities really happen. So my
Yes.
next question would be that in a class we get a heterogeneous batch. I mean to say, some of them are good in terms of communication or use their theater or facial expression. Some of them, especially as you know, Asian College, we host a lot of TEFL classes throughout the year. We find some of the students are a little bit, I would say shy or timid. Those who are not willing to open up. Some who are okay, kind of a thing. Some who are very extrovert. So in that case, what would you, I would say, what would you suggest in terms of making a theater? Is there also a lesson plan and different ways in which you can do?
Of course, and I think this is exactly the purpose of theater. So what happens? See, language creates hierarchy. While it is important for us, this is the way we communicate. Language, knowing any form of language, it creates a hierarchy. So I can speak very well. I'll be able to put forth my ideas. I will ask questions. Then what happens to people who are quieter? And if
Right,
we include theater activities, theater techniques, lot of games, any form of theater, most of the theater games take away the language. So there is body movement, there is something called image work. You can use sound. So instead of, for example, somebody who's not very articulate, and he wants to express something but is not finding the right words. So if I have a problem, how do I express it? I can use my body to express it. For example, I can create an image. What's happening to you?
right.
So any form of image, it gives a voice and expression to those who are finding it difficult to express. And that
That
is the
means
idea of using theater techniques,
theater,
basically.
theater
Yes.
techniques. That means what you are saying, immediately what came to my mind, especially for special children who are unable to express themselves. For example, I am feeling very morose, I am feeling very down, so I can draw something either in black and white and show you to you, just to
Yes.
signify. So does it really work out, or have you find it success in terms of special children?
See, I do know that. So I have been trained. I have also taken training of theater, and a lot of special educators, mental health professionals, educationists like you come and join these courses to equip themselves better. To basically, the idea
Okay,
is, what is our purpose? To bridge that gap. Now, since
right.
this is not my expertise, I can't make a comment over there. However, I can tell you that it does allow people to connect in any form. So
Okay,
drawing,
right.
another creative form, right? Theater is using my body. So instead of saying something, I can make an image. You know, just to continue, for example, children who come from different kind of households, they may not tell what's happening to them. However, if you tell them what does home looks like, make an image of it, they will surprise you with the images that they make. And just to add, image theater is again a technique of theater. So basically, we use our
Okay,
body to create images. Yes. I
okay.
hope I hope you're able to continue the dots, connect
Absolutely,
the dots.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So,
Yes.
and then the next thing is that till now, I think the viewers have also understood what essentially we mean by theater technique. Things have become much more clearer. The thing is that when it comes to a kind of a course, for example, even if it is a board, ICAC board, or a professional program like a pre-primary course or a TEFL training, which we conduct or otherwise, so there is a curriculum, say for example, grammar, preposition, language, activities, etc. If you can tell us that, how does it, I mean to say, how does it fit into the curriculum? I mean to say, does it have a kind of a 2 hours every day, or is it a workshop for 3 hours over a month of time? I mean to say, how do you plan and make out the curriculum?
For school children or for
Yes,
teachers?
both for adults, I mean to say teachers, as well as for school. We can
For
start with the
children, I
school
mean,
children first.
learners
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, learners. So integrating into the curriculum definitely requires people to sit together and see the teachers who will be taking the learning to the class. Where I can, if I may say, what is my role? There are people who specialize in integrating theater techniques for particular subjects. Yes, where what I do essentially is I would train teachers, and teachers come together, learn these techniques. They are carrying a lot of wisdom. So imagine if 15, 20 facilitators are there, they are learning these techniques, and the kind of wisdom that gets generated, and when they share their stories and struggles in a very, what theater does, it essentially, it creates a very equal playground for everyone. That
Right.
wisdom can be taken by that group of teachers to wherever they are. Yes. So one way of
Okay.
one, this is how I would work. However, there are, like I said, since I don't directly work with children or create curriculum for children, I would have to partner with teachers. So when the training
Teachers.
happens for the teachers, then they can come and say, oh, this is where we can use it. This is where in a mathematics class I would like to have a theater activity. I think this would work best. But that only the teacher who is an expert in that subject can it will be the
Right.
best.
That means, right, you are training the teachers who will, plug in those parameters whenever they feel right in that. Okay.
Exactly.
So I really dream that we should come up, I mean to say the schools will have to come up with some kind of a mandatory curriculum of theater technique. This is so very important for the entire, especially for the young learners. I think so.
Of course.
So, yeah, my next question to you would be now, the thing is that I understand that whenever we are doing theater technique, there are a lot of facial expressions or which are also being used. Now, these facial expressions, along with the script that they write, so how does do the students write or the teachers write or enact or how does it happen?
Yeah. So in any other form of drama, there will be a script, there'll be practice, there will be an end, and which will culminate into the climax that we are waiting for. It could
Right.
be
Yes.
but the form of theater that I practice, it is called forum theater. So, what is essentially
Okay.
forum theater? Forum theater, the script is written by the people who are participating in it. For example, if I'm training a group of teachers, we all come together, share our stories, and then in sharing of the stories, we pick up some of the stories that are really connecting with our life and we are drawn to it. We take that story, and a story would be a story of struggle. For example, I want to make a difference in the class, but for some reason I'm not able to make it, so we make an act out of it from that real life. So the script is created at that in that workshop, in that training environment. There is no written script that we pick up. We take real stories, we share our struggles. So theater of the oppressed was born out of struggles that farmers were facing in Brazil. People were being taken away. There was a lot of brutality, and to deal with that, this we know art forms are the best way to deal with any form of
Yes.
oppression
Yes.
or struggle. However, eventually he took it to another level and realized that oppression is not just outside in a physical form, but it is in our head also. And who
Right.
better will
Right.
know this than educationists, where the oppressor or the struggle is how do we make education or a learner in a manner which is more inclusive. And I would say that without batting my eyes, that theater is the best tool for inclusion. And I think to answer your earlier
Absolutely.
question, so it is different from a say drama class where people are learning to speak, they are using a script and acting it out. This is here the theater, the act is created out of real stories. And the beauty of forum theater is it doesn't have an ending. It stops where the problem is. So basically it is an unresolved moment. So the drama will stop at where the student asked the question and teacher did not have an answer, right?
Okay.
And the drama stops there. And how does it continue? Basically the spectators, so every theater has spectators. In
Right.
forum theater we don't call them spectators, we call them spectators. So what
Okay.
happens when the drama stops? It's the spectators who start replacing the actor. So anybody from the audience comes and replaces, say, a teacher who has presented her story in the drama. And then
Okay.
the
That's
drama
wonderful.
yes, and you see what kind of wisdom emerges in that, because now there are not one option but multiple options, and that also is coming from people who are in that. It's not outsiders giving you ideas, because outsiders will give,
Okay.
yeah, the idea of forum theater. So just to kind of connect it, the theater of the opera is the form of acts that we do. It's called forum theaters, and the forum theater is created out of real life stories of your struggle and mine. Yes.
I got it.
And
That means, for example, if I am struggling, for example, I do not like the biology class and I cannot draw figures, for example. That means this
yes,
is a kind of a struggle that I undergo. So I will make a script on the forum theater in order to show that I'm struggling biology class and I'm unable to draw figures. And
yes.
the theater will stop until somebody from the spectators come in and resolve that problem.
Exactly. And it's a problem solving methodology. It is a critical thinking
Right.
methodology to invite critical thinking in people, and you will be the actor. Or you can ask somebody to play it, and actually played by students, or teacher can become a student. Anybody can do that, to actually live that moment of struggle.
That means it
And
is not that the teacher will always resolve the problem. Any student can come on the stage and also solve it.
of course, and I can tell you, it is such amazing insights come in these forum theater, that it just overwhelms people, that my God, students and any age group, irrespective of the age group, they can come with amazing insights, and that is the power of
Absolutely.
theater. Yes.
And I think that these are, these are being done obviously in the schools or within that institution. But when we talk of theater, for example, a play, Midsummer Night's Dream, which is being played, I think this can be taken to a much wider scale. I am, what I'm trying to tell, that this problem, that I have got a problem, a human problem, which is being answered by the spectators. I think this can be created in a larger scale, where people or the crowd from outside, they can really watch and they can find out with a solution. I understand this is something which is limited to institution, but it can be definitely taken up in a
It
higher
can
scale.
be. Yes, yes, you can take it anywhere. You can take it to any of the communities. It has
Right.
worked very well with mental health professionals. It has worked with very, very teachers, of course, medical communities. You see,
Hmm.
a lot of work which is done with medical communities, doctors, and the kind of challenges that they face. And so,
Right.
because they're facing the problem, uh, uh, using theater techniques, so this becomes a tool. And
Hmm.
when
Absolutely.
performance happens, it doesn't happen for the sake of entertainment. It is actually presenting a real life issue. However, it doesn't mean that we cannot have fun. What is theater without play? So
Without play.
makes the class very engaging and interesting. It will have play. So yes.
Absolutely. So just a quick recap, those who are joining late with our YouTube live, we are in conversation with Ritu Shukla, and we are getting some amazing facts and insights on what is called theater technique and classroom management. Ritu, my next question would be, because you have dealt with so many brands, especially with corporates. Now, if you can share some of the success stories, I mean to say, it can be a school or it can be a hardcore corporate. How do you find that the lives or the problems are solving? If you can cite one or two examples that you have done in the workshops.
There are many. However, I think as you asked me, one I suddenly remembered. I was working with one of the automobile service providers, and not naming them for, because I've not taken
Yeah, sure. Right.
right thing. So, and there was a group of their. Uh, it was a big group. It had people across levels. So there were those people who were just providing the service for heavy those heavy duty vehicles,
Right.
the
I got it.
convoy
Yeah.
mixers and all, and there are a lot of safety issues that they face. And
Okay.
yes, yes. And I think when I did when they presented their accent, it was just a 4 hour program, and in this 4 hour
Okay.
program they were able to present their struggles and the kind of insights that they came up with, and it came basically from them. So there would be those safety issues that they have, and it's very difficult, especially in factories, in manufacturing units. There's a lot of hierarchy, but when you take
Right.
it to them, no, suddenly the hierarchy moves away, and they are able
Yeah,
to
it
then
vanishes.
insights, yes, gain insight into the wisdom. So I can remember many of those incidents where people just came up with certain ideas and certain revelations which otherwise they would not share. It could be about
Okay.
safety, it could be about see, when the mind and body are coming together, right, and then the responses that come are very different. Yes. i have
Absolutely.
I have also worked with exclusively women's groups. right? So
Okay.
women when they share struggle and what kind of interventions they come up with, it could be, I'm not able to remember very specific examples, but they come out. All I can say is, when we basically um, use the theater techniques and create, um, uh, through the games, through the various activities that theater has, when the participants come together, the kind of insights that they come up with are really amazing, you know. Yeah.
So that
Yes.
means, have you found out in your workshops and in your career that the solutions that come up, do they really incorporate into their personal life, or is it just restricted to the theater stage only?
Again, I think a very powerful question there. Uh, the change does is not happening when you're doing the training. The change happens when you go, because
Right,
essentially my job as a theater practitioner is to disturb the status quo and make the person uncomfortable. So the teacher, if she's there, she may feel a discomfort or he may feel uncomfortable with the situation, but that is the idea is to shake. And the change then
right.
happens when people actually go there, because when so theater is all about change. You can bring about change from, it can be a smallest change in a student coming out and becoming a spectator and sharing some insight, right? Uh, Big changes happen once in a while, but I think big changes are made of small small changes, the small
Absolutely.
changes that we make. And yes, so the journey, actually the action doesn't happen in the workshop. The action happens once the
Much
participants
later. Right.
out of, yes, and when they go back all churned up and a little uncomfortable, we love that discomfort. We say yes, now I am successful. When I say we, I mean the theater community. Yes.
Absolutely. Now, I think that what you are telling also, that is true, that in general for a traditional theater, what happens is that we start living with the character, whatever the
Yes.
character that we are doing. Now, here also, what is happening is that when somebody is coming up with this problem, and that problem is depicted in a facial or a body language or something like that, we start to live on that particular situation, and we
Right.
start to find out that uh, if that is a situation, that in that case, how we can come out with the solutions. The problem that lies within us is that we are unable to find out the correct solution, as long as we are within the system, because being within the system always challenges us, that we are unable to find out what is going on. But when we come up, I hope you understand that when, as a spectator, somebody is watching, then definitely the problem is outside that arena, and then we come out with fantastic solutions. So I was
Actually,
thinking, I was sure that I would like to invite you in one of the classes which we do in general, TEFL or pre-primary, and definitely we can introduce this technique for maybe a 30 to 45 minutes, and that would be a wonderful. So I'm coming to the last part of our conversation, is that when we are talking about those techniques, I understand, if just to, as you told, that you're teaching the teachers who would implement it later based on the time and the zone. Now, is it that there is a certain kind of a qualification, a basic background in psychology, etc., which is required to qualify as a drama teacher, or anybody who is willing to learn can do it?
right. So, uh, do nothing, no prior qualification is needed for the form of theater that I practice, right? So there
Okay,
are teachers who may have done their masters in drama and then they're teaching basically literary drama. This form of theater which you want to take to the children, where teachers want to engage children in a more creative manner, where they feel that yes, I'm not just downloading information but co-creating an environment, a dialogue is happening, co-reflection is happening. This form of theater, no prior degree is needed.
preparation.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
there is, yeah, a workshop, even a 4-hour workshop. I'd love to, I'm sure we'll be doing 30-40 minutes would be online because I'm here in Bangalore, but I would definitely love to engage with teachers and learn from them as to how would they then
Absolutely.
incorporate what they have learned, you know. I would
Okay, in that
absolutely.
case, you have dealt primarily with adults, or both adults and children?
So I started my career way back in 95 as a teacher. I have taught children.
Okay,
However, for the last 15 years, I have been, or maybe more than 15 years, almost 20 years, I've been working mostly with adult learners, training
adult
corporate.
learners.
Yes, yes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So in that case, for example, a group which has got a mixed kind of a crowd, I mean to say, in terms of quality wise, they're not opening up, and some of them quite open. That means you do a kind of a homework earlier that what would be the theater technique, considering the amount of crowd who are not good speakers and those who are good speakers. Does it happen that, or it happens spontaneously on the stage itself?
Right. So, if you're talking about a workshop, right?
Workshop, yeah.
Okay. So, in a workshop, I would definitely want to know the audience profile, who all are there. However, theater thrives on spontaneity, right?
Right.
Yeah, like we
Yes.
just did a game. I made a face, or so it thrives on spontaneity and it thrives on play. However, knowing a little, some amount of who the audience is, what are they possibly expecting, does help, and to bring together the group, it will help. But it does thrive on, and
Okay.
the games that are there, that are common to all form of theater. So the games that there are a lot of games in a theater technique, lot of
Right.
games,
Right. A lot of
because
games.
the mind body is engaged, a lot of fun, and yet the kind of thinking and wisdom that emerges is amazing. So yes.
So you have a particular theme for a particular workshop that we will, entire workshop will be going around one idea and the outcome will be this, or how does it happen?
So if the workshop requirement has come from somebody, for example, you would say that okay, the teachers are coming together to understand what are the challenges that they face, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
then we will work around that. The activities are designed to understand what challenges the teachers or the facilitators are facing in a fun,
Mhm.
playful manner. And eventually, we may create an act like a forum theater, or we may not. Yet, the exploration happens through a lot of games and play and image theater, which
Okay.
is again a key tool of theater of the oppressed. And I
Right.
can
So
go on
most
and
of
on
the
about this,
time,
but for another day, not today.
sure. So most of the time, the institutes, they give you a kind of a topic that this would be our problem that we need to address, and then based on that, all the planning, game, and workshop, you plan and act accordingly.
Exactly. So yes, there can be an ask that we want to do that, and yet, and also to believe that since theater is a creative form, and a creative form and an art form can bring in certain, there has to be that flexibility. It helps. It helps to
Right.
have
Yes.
a workshop when I know there is some amount of flexibility there. So depends on what is the ask. We can keep it very
Okay.
streamlined, or or can keep it a little more open ended, where people are exploring ideas uh,
Mhm.
as it comes to them,
Uh,
as they
uh,
can be from one day to another. It can be a 7 day
okay.
workshop, it can be a 4 hours workshop. Yeah.
Okay. So it can be a 7 day. That was my exactly my next question. That how long does it take to for an workshop? Okay. So it depends. Okay. So obviously for 7 days, generally one by one, you explore those ideas and the continuous one. Okay.
Yes.
So that's really great. I am thankful to you because this is something which is totally new to us. I won't say new, but might have been performing in a different way. And
Yes.
thank you very much for coming online. I know you're terribly busy because it's very difficult for you to get over telephone. So I told you, no, we will manage. Thank you very much, and wishing you all the best for your because you're doing a fantastic. I want to say a serving to the society doing this because lot of young minds are being trained, lot of insights are coming, and I think that it's the benefit for the entire humankind that they are coming up with certain innovative solutions which otherwise might not have been possible. So, big thanks from the family of Asian College of Teachers for being with us and letting us know on those insights. We would love to take you on board someday where we can conduct because this is something very unique. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much for calling me and inviting me. I loved interacting, and I look forward to having more such interactions and engagement. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sure, and I sure am sure the audience have enjoyed and learned a lot from today's webinar. today's YouTube live. So this is Shaunak signing up from Asian College of Teachers with a big note of thanks to Ritu Shukla, taking a time out and enriching ours with what is called theatre techniques and classroom management. We will be back again with some kind of a very interesting topic. Till then, goodbye and best wishes.
Bye. Thank you.